Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Laid Back with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bat. Bah. It's your boy Laid Back. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we got to do. You got to hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. You are the prize in 2025. You are the prize in 2025. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos. We back with another TikTok compilation, but this one is different. This got to do with the fires out there in California on the West Coast, man. Make sure you staying safe out there, man. I want to send my condolences out there to the people out in California on the West Coast, man. I was affected by this. I know some people out there that was affected by it. So definitely sending my prayers and condolences out there. But this was something that was crazy, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to look at some of the footage. We're going to see what was going on out there. And you make it to the end of this one, you a real one for real. And shout out to all my people out there on the West Coast in Cali, man. If you was affected, make sure you drop it in the comments, man. We sending our love and our support to you, man, for sure. So let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad, what's popping? Let's get it.
Massive wildfires are currently tearing up California's west coast, and this has left thousands of buildings destroyed, as well as forced tens of thousands to evacuate their homes. But what most people don't know is that these wildfires have been inevitable for years, and people are just now finding out. For example, if you look at where most of the west coast moisture
Do your own research. You know, I gotta say that. Do your own research.
comes in, you can see that Southern California lies right outside of its range. And this is because while the Pacific Ocean deposits a fair amount of rain into the states of Washington and Oregon, this rain is blocked by a high pressure zone encompassing most of Southern California during the summer months, making it generally way drier than its surrounding areas. During the wintertime, however, this zone briefly shrinks down, giving California almost all of its yearly rain in a very short time period. Now, while this means that Southern California should be having a rainy season right now, 2024 saw an abnormally dry season during the summer, and this left on the surface tons of flammable bushes and shrubbery. Coupling this with the immensely strong Santa Ana winds, and these are the perfect ingredients to create huge and devastating wildfires. Now, with climate change becoming more prominent, it's clear that disasters like this are only going to become more common as the years go by.
More common?
All of PCH is on fire right now.
Whoa.
There is fierce wind, down power lines.
That's crazy.
Power poles toppled over. Things are exploding.
Whoa.
Gas lines are on fire.
Whoa.
Flames are coming back over PCH or being blown by fierce winds. It is like driving through hell itself down here. Literally through hell. This is madness down here. These homes are on fire and you can feel the heat from the flames even from inside your car.
Jeez.
It is insane down here.
That looked crazy.
Just apocalyptic scenes in Altadena here this morning. You can see this house behind me up in flames. It's actually about to collapse any minute now. Along this street, a number of homes are burning. This is how many people in Los Angeles are waking up this morning. They're waking up to the news that they have lost everything overnight in one of the worst fires in Los Angeles history. If you have a look down the street here, here is another home up in flames. The sky is just black. It looks like it's nighttime here. It's quite hard to breathe actually, but we're almost in the middle of the day now. There are power lines down everywhere, and there's a huge exclusion zone around many parts of Los Angeles, including Altadena. As I've said, four fires are burning. None of them are contained. 2 people sadly have lost their lives and many more are injured. But they've had months and months of dry weather, really bad conditions here in Los Angeles, and this wind that you can see at the moment, it's been blowing at speeds of up to 180 kilometers an hour, and that's whipping up these embers right across Los Angeles. So there's actually many people still trapped inside their homes.
Oh my God, this is
Well, this is some wild video. Check out this fire NATO. It was captured by Fox 11 LA in the Palisades fire. This was last night about 10:45 local time. This one's been all over social media. Unbelievable. Yeah, you get big pressure changes, big temperature changes, and you can see those. It's a real thing. There's actually been an EF3 fire NATO that happened in the past. I'm trying to remember which fire
I ain't never heard of no fire NATO.
it was from. It was several years ago, but just the point is you can actually get these actual tornadoes that have fire in them that can get pretty strong. It's more like a dust devil than an actual tornado, which would come out of a supercell. But my goodness, you want to talk about a contrast in what we've seen across the country over the last couple of days. And you can see this time of year, you know, December, January, you can get Santa Ana winds events that lead to fires. Of course, you know, fires of this magnitude, it's historic, and it's something that all those people are never going to forget. I'm never going to forget covering it as far as my career goes, because this is it's just been incredibly wild and memorable.
Prayers out to these people, man.
Okay, so I've been getting a lot of comments like this after I posted my last video, and I'm about to break it down for you. Let's just start by saying you're right. The fires that we're dealing with right now are right next to the ocean. And while that sounds like a really good solution to use the salt water to put out the fires, here's why it's not. Equipment damage. Salt water is highly corrosive. So if we're scooping up salt water and dumping it all over the fires, it's going to damage the water hoses, the equipment that we're using to put out the fires that we basically depend on, and it's also going to damage the helicopters and the equipment that they're using. It could actually damage them so much that we would never be able to use this equipment again, which would cost us way more to get more equipment later for the next fire. The best way I can describe this is if you spill soda onto your laptop. Over time, the sugar and the acid ruins your laptop. It's kind of like the same thing with the salt water and the equipment we use to put out the fires. 2, environmental harm. If you're spraying the fire with a ton of salt water, it leaves behind salt. The salt then seeps deep into the soil, destroying any plants or future plants that can grow there, which ultimately makes it harder for the land to recover and even destroys our ecosystem even more. And I know this is a terrible analogy, but think about it as seriously over-salting a dish. The dish is destroyed. There's no going back after you oversalt it. 3, fresh water is just more effective. And the salt can alter how the water interacts with the fire. So yes, even though the ocean is nearby, it's not as simple as just scooping up the water and putting out the flame. The risks and challenges are just not worth it. So while it seems like a good idea, salt water is not the answer. But we can keep pushing for smarter and better ideas to protect California. That needs to happen like yesterday. There's a lot of money going to other countries for other things, and a lot of money where we don't know where it's going, to be honest with you. California needs fire protection, period. So that when we're in a predicament like this, we are prepared and we can tackle the beast proficiently. Stay safe. If you have any more questions, I'll try and answer as best as I can. Bye.
That was a really good job on how she broke down that saltwater thing.
Here's the scary truth about the California wildfire going on and why it's almost impossible to stop. I've lived in Los Angeles over 10 years now, and I've learned a few things about the wildfires here. Speed and intensity. Most California wildfires move up to 15 miles per hour. That's faster than most people can run. They destroy everything in their path in minutes. Size. California wildfires have burned millions of acres each year. The 2020 fires burned more than 4.3 million acres.
What?
That's bigger than Connecticut, y'all. Cost and containment.
Whoa.
These wildfires literally cost millions of dollars to contain. In 2021, the Dixie Fire alone cost over $62.3 million to suppress. We're not talking about 3 million, 4 million. We're talking about 62 million and above. And then we have manpower, which is our firefighters. We have our firefighters that are working tirelessly in ridiculously dangerous conditions. Everyone's evacuating, they're running in. Sometimes it gets to the point where the state hires inmates to help put out the fires.
I heard
because the firefighters, they're exhausted, they need a break. And what happens when you run out of firefighters? You bring on inmates. True story, y'all. Another huge factor, water scarcity. Yes, it's possible to run out of water. It takes millions and millions of gallons of water to put out these fires. In California, the combination of drought and limited resources makes it really, really hard. Weather obstacles, like what's happening right now, the wind. The wind is insane right now. The wind is what's spreading the fire. Not only that, the wind can blow gusts of fire, like pieces of fires, to other areas of California and start another wildfire there. So wind is the biggest challenge. So when people are like, I thought the fire was in Palisades, like, why is it now in this area? And how is it all the way in that area? That's because of the wind, and it's literally picking up the fire, throwing it like a fireball to other areas of California. Air quality. The fires are emitting a ridiculous amount of carbon dioxide, ash, smoke. We are breathing that in every day. So even if you're miles away, you're still going to suffer with the consequences of the smoke and the ash. And if you have asthma or any kind of lung issues, I highly recommend that you put on a damn mask or just stay the fuck inside. And then recovery time. We don't really talk about how it can take decades to recover from these wildfires, to the point sometimes where it can actually damage and affect the ecosystem for eternity. Like literally some ecosystems will never be the same because of California wildfires. So how can we prevent these wildfires? Honestly, humans are 80% of the time, humans are the cause of wildfires like this, especially in California where it's very dry. Be careful with unattended campfires. Be careful with fireworks. Or sometimes it's not caused by humans and the wind is really bad and you have a downed power line and boom, that's all it takes. That said, I know you're hearing a lot of things on the news, but now maybe you have a better understanding of how these fires start and why it takes so long to put them out. I'll keep you guys updated with the fires here. Please stay safe, stay aware, and take care of each other.
Imagine having to leave your son behind in a burning house. So this is Rory Callum Sykes, and he was a child actor living in LA, and this is his mom. His house caught fire because of all the embers that floated, I guess, and landed on his house, setting the house on fire. She was trying desperately to get him out, but she couldn't lift him because he was born with cerebral palsy, and he's also blind. So she was calling 911 trying to get help, and all these firefighters show up, but they have no water. He finally told her, "Mom, just leave me." I cannot imagine that. On either side. Like, imagine this mom knowing she has to leave her son behind in a burning home. And imagine him knowing that the house is burning and that he cannot physically get out. And he just knows what's about to happen. I have been seeing so many horrific reports about the fires that are going on in California and how they have no water to put them out. And I cannot fathom it. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, they're rich, they'll just rebuild. Many of them can't rebuild because their insurance policies were just canceled. Their fire coverage was just canceled conveniently right before these wildfires took place. And the fire department had budget cuts that weren't going to allow them to prepare for such a travesty like this. I mean, it's just like almost like a coincidence.
They cut the insurance right before the fire?
We have some major updates right now about the LA County fires. Number one, Mexico firefighters have arrived in Los Angeles to help battle the Palisades fire. As of this post, 75 firefighters from Mexico, including 3 information officers, have arrived in California. Meanwhile, Governor Newsom has doubled the amount of National Guard members activated to 1,680 service providers. In addition, some good news, several evacuation orders for the Eaton fire have actually already been lifted for cities like Bradbury and Duarte, but parts of Altadena, which is where the fire hit hardest, is still off limits. Thankfully, given the weather conditions, it looks as though the Eaton fire at least will be neutralized or will be contained some more. The Palisades fire, however, continues to burn, is now threatening communities just west of the 405 freeway, and it's pushing inwards towards Brentwood and the Bel Air area, with another front moving into the San Fernando Valley, Encino, and Sherman Oaks. That one's still very serious, and firefighters really don't have that one under much control. I believe it's 8% containment the last I heard. As soon as we get more information, I will provide it to you, so be sure to follow along if you don't already.
Man, shout out to the people that sending people.
Celebrities who lost over $100 million in the LA fires. First, Paul George Paul's losses are over $100 million. His home, worth around $30 million, is in Eaton, north of Pasadena, and features a modern minimalist style. He's also a big car lover. He had a $600,000 Rolls-Royce Ghost and a $200,000 Mercedes AMG G63. Sadly, both cars were destroyed in the fire. Second, J.J. Reddick JJ's losses are estimated at $110 million. He has a $35 million mansion in a wealthy neighborhood of L.A. His house even includes a private library filled with rare art. JJ also owns a $500,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom and other luxury cars, all of which were lost in the fire. Third, Ryan Fisher. Ryan is looking at an estimated $100 million loss. His home is a modern-style villa in the West L.A. Palisades, worth about $30 million. It's in the heart of the worst-hit area, so nothing survived, including all of his luxury goods and collectibles. Fourth, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi's losses are over $140 million. His mansion, a 4-story villa in the West L.A. Palisades, is valued at $50 million. His home also housed NBA trophies, signed jerseys, and basketballs, which are priceless to him. Kawhi had mentioned earlier that he didn't have insurance, so things don't look great. Let's send them our prayers and wish them the strength to rebuild.
Oh, we no insurance?
Updates on the California fires. They are now moving towards Brentwood. Just to put everything into perspective, the population of Brentwood is around 65,000. The population of Encino is around 50+ thousand. And the population of the Palisades is 23,000. So there's a lot of people that live in Brentwood. Currently, the Palisades fire is around 23,000 acres at about 11% containment. And the winds that we've had that have been so terrible in California are not suspected to die down until Wednesday, meaning we have about 4 more days of this chaos and winds and fires changing directions until they're able to really get a full grasp on all of this. Some homes in Brentwood have unfortunately already started to be taken by the fire, and the Eaton fire is still blazing at 14,000 acres with around 15% containment. No one knows when all of this is going to be over. This video is currently being made at 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. I'll continue to update as I find out more information. Stay safe, California.
Is it still going or is it over?
Breaking news. The Palisades fire has now become the most destructive fire in Los Angeles history. The Palisades fire is now pushing inland towards Brentwood, affecting areas near UCLA and the Getty Center. These blazes have already claimed 16 lives, with more missing. Firefighting efforts are supported by crews from across the United States, including Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, and Washington. International support has also arrived from Mexico and Canada, while inmates also join the efforts on the ground. Malibu has lost approximately 1/3 of its eastern edge to this fire, drastically impacting the community and its picturesque coastal homes. The Palisades fire has now scorched over 23,000 acres and is 11% contained. More Santa Ana winds are expected in the coming days, potentially complicating containment efforts. What are your thoughts on this situation in California?
Bruh, how did the fire start? How did the fire start? Do anybody know?
The governor should resign. People are dead. Homes have burned. It is not your first rodeo. It is not. And when you know that you have a state that is prone to fire, and I'm going to give it to you, you've got global warming. You have literally a tinderbox. Isn't this the part where you take the highest income tax, highest sales tax, highest gas tax, and rebuild the infrastructure? I'm sorry. And the reason for me this is super serious is because this guy wants to be your president. This now goes from a California problem to a countrywide problem. Like, I get it. He's got good hair. We've got much bigger problems, okay?
She wasn't playing. Whoever she wasn't playing.
This was supposed to be the water to put out the Palisades fire. This is the Santa Ynez reservoir. It's the water supply basically for the Palisades. When they first started fighting the Palisades fire, they ran out of water extremely quickly. Wednesday, 3 a.m., they were basically out. And there's been a lot of talk on why this happened. So how long has this reservoir been empty for?
Since February of last year. There was no communication from the Department of Water and Power to LAFD that there was a water supply issue.
The firefighters, when they started fighting the fires, no one informed them that the reservoir was empty. This reservoir holds 117 million gallons of water. The fire department was using a water supply from 3 backup tanks, each one only holding 1 million gallons of water. They say it's closed for maintenance to repair the lid that's on top of it. I don't know a lot about reservoir maintenance, but there's literally no construction materials or vehicles anywhere in sight. Also, with a reservoir like this, you can refill it or start to refill it. So another question is, if they saw the Santa Ana winds were coming and we have this remarkably dry wet season, why was there no attempt to start refilling it back up? I know I threw a lot out there, but I think we need some answers, guys. Some real answers here.
They didn't even tell the firefighters there wasn't no
County, but to see these fires in LA proper, the flames reaching the beach, that's just not normal. There's no other way to put it. High pressure sits in the area, makes California vulnerable to the Santa Ana winds. You've likely heard that. Wind out of the north that funnels through the mountains. This was the big problem. This is our big weather maker that brings the winter storm to Houston on Thursday. Now, this powerful storm right up against this high pressure area created this funnel of forceful wind, not only being squeezed by the mountains, but being funneled down by the foothills. This down slope is what caused the race of this fire so quickly, devastating communities that I grew up in. I mean, I'm catching up with my friends, my family members, one of which told me that she actually had to run out of her house as this fire was literally at her doorstep.
I was on a call for work, and my mom came into the room and interrupted and yelled, "The backyard is on fire." My father was the last to leave, and he ended up, they told him to abandon his car. It was every single direction. Every direction you look, it is ripping. And that was just so scary.
Heartbreaking, scary. Having to listen to my friends, my relatives worry about their family making it out of these fires safely, let alone their houses, thousands of them destroyed. These wind gusts are just not something that they see. These are hurricane force winds, Cat 1, Cat 2, in popular areas like Magic Mountain, like Hollywood, the Burbank Airport. I mean, it is a situation that is ongoing. Wind gusts still 45 miles an hour. They are still under a fire weather warning through tomorrow at 6 o'clock, guys. So all of our thoughts and prayers really with this area. I'm just hoping that relatives and families stay safe through this unprecedented, unimaginable wind event that they're going through.
Yeah, so many of us know and love that area and have loved ones there. We'll be thinking of them. Thank you, Ken.
I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home.
I know the feeling.
And they just they got canceled from their fire insurance. So they're dealing with this. They're 90 years old. And through the state of California, because of this, they're 90 years old. That they've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance. And these insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
Wow.
So thank you, California insurance companies, supporting residents who pay taxes and love California. And they wonder why people leave California.
First and foremost, you did get your parents out safely.
I live in Sierra Madre. My parents are in Sierra Madre, but...
And now you know that it is under evacuation as well, north of Sierra Madre Boulevard.
Yeah, I snuck here. You know, there's a will, there's a way. Probably shouldn't do it, but you know what? Under the circumstances, send me to jail. That's fine.
It is unbelievable what's happening here to the neighbors. Your parents' house is still standing. You had a hose. You're doing what you can.
I mean, I have a hose. It doesn't compare to these beloved neighbors that I've known. I was born and raised in this house, and I live in Sierra Madre, and I'm now 62 years old. And this is the house I was born and raised in, and I've never moved out of Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Hastings Ranch.
Well, let me tell you, it does help for people who aren't here to know what's happening. So you sharing that story, it does a service. I came up to you without even asking your name.
My name is Lynn Levin Guzman. This is the Levin household. I'm a nurse for over 30 years in emergency room. I deal with fire all the time and firefighters. And this situation here, luckily people got out because those are my patients. The people who are not so fortunate to get out.
As you mentioned, let's just hope everyone's okay. Lynn, I'm going to let you get back to it. And for you taking the time, we thank you. To your parents, we wish them the best as well. As I send it back to you, there's Lynn again with the hose. She's using a garden hose, getting the awnings, getting the roof of the house, doing anything she can. We say that as the embers are blowing directly on us here in the Upper Hastings Ranch community. She's here, her brother's here, and you know that there's other, let me tell you, the majority of the homes in this community are still standing. We drove past many on the lower side that are still standing, but the night is young.
Absolutely, a long way to go, and a courageous woman at that, and she does bring up a great point that we should talk a whole lot more about, and that is the fact that so many people are now uninsured when it comes to a fire.
Salute to her, bruh. Salute to her.
So the state of California will not allow firefighters to use ocean water to put out this destructive fire that very soon is going to surpass $10 billion in damages.
Whoa.
And some expect it's going to balloon to $12 to $15 billion is going to be the cost. But here's why. According to experts, they say using salt water to fight a fire will cause the equipment to eventually corrode and cause other damage to tools. It says it could cause problems to tanks, to fire trucks, hydrants, and the tools. However, some question, wouldn't the damage to the tools, the hydrants, the fire trucks be less than the total destruction of this Palisades fire and the fires surrounding the area? And the answer is yes. However, how quickly could the equipment be replaced? That's the first thing. And now, the reason why many experts believe California will not allow firefighters to use salt water is because it's considered dangerous. Listen to this. High salt content of the water is potentially damaging and dangerous to the ecosystem. It says causing a barren landscape in those areas for many years afterwards. But to use the salt water as effectively as hydrant water, it needs to be desalinated. Now, here's the cost to do that. It's between $5 and $10 per 1,000 gallons. Keep in mind those 3 tanks that are sitting up in the Palisades, well, they hold about 1 million gallons each, according to reports. But today, officials said it wasn't a matter of water levels being too low in the tanks. It was a matter that the supply going up the hill was too slow. Not low, slow. Meaning, not enough water being pushed out of the hydrants would even make a dent in the fires. So according to officials, it's not that the water wasn't enough, but it was too much destruction too quickly. That was the cause. But let me know. Do you think this is real, or is this just their statement coming out the time?
Man, it's a lot of questions. It's a lot of questions. What? No insurance, though? You just gonna cancel my insurance like that? when I've been paying for years, that don't sound right. Whoa. This stuff is like a movie.
Firefighters in California are still battling a number of blazes across the Los Angeles area. We do know the Palisades fire, that largest one that continues to burn, is currently 11% contained, according to officials. So far, more than 23,000 acres have been burned by this spreading fire. Also, the Eaton fire, the second largest among four that a number of trackers are looking at right now, has burned more than 14,000 acres.
Whoa.
And it is more contained than the Palisades fire, but is also continuing to burn in a number of populated areas. There are currently many firefighters from across the United States that are in Southern California working to battle these blazes, but the images are devastating. So many people displaced inside California. The population combined of these areas is more than 50,000 people. And of course, that tragic death toll of 16 people that have been killed so far in this natural disaster.
The Southern California fires are burning for a pretty simple reason that has nothing to do with AI, water agreements, or LA's spending habits. Extremely strong winds came before seasonal rains. First, let's talk about why this happened. So fall 2022 through spring of 2024 were super wet years for the LA region with deadly rain and costly flooding. It also created a flush of new vegetation. The rain stopped just in time for record-setting summer heat with no meaningful precipitation for 8 months. Typically, December through February is the rainiest season in LA, but so far this year, not so much. 2024 ended as the hottest year on record, and a warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, pulling water out of vegetation quicker. So all of that new growth transformed into receptive fuel for fires by hot, thirsty air. And if you add a spark to the California Santa Ana winds, you have an extremely fast fire, which we're told over and over cannot be put out until the wind dies down. Thousands of people are losing their homes and some even their lives. And these fires will almost certainly make up the most expensive fire event in California in US history. The Palisades fire also ripped through one of the most precarious insurance markets in the state. And that could even have ripple effects or even tidal wave impacts far outside of the fire perimeter. This state insurer called California Fair Plan had just $200 million available to pay in claims in March of 2024. So residents are likely to run into an expensive situation. Private insurance companies in the market are required to foot up to $1 billion of the Fair Plan's payouts. Anything over that is paid for by all of California's taxpayers. And as of January 10th, 2025, this event is thought to be causing over $130 billion of damage, according to early estimates by AccuWeather. But insurance consultant Nancy Watkins also told us that she sees this fire as an opportunity to focus on a long-term solution where insurers pay the risk more accurately and focus on reducing loss from...
What you doing with all the money we giving y'all every month? You know what I'm saying? Like, so y'all pay up to $1 billion, and then the taxpayers pay the... So we paying insurance and we pay... What?
Future fires by designing and retrofitting homes and communities for wildfire according to the best science available. But this will mean significantly increased insurance costs in the short term.
That's some fuck shit.
Let's think about this now. What's going to happen next? Well, over 10,000 structures. Think about this. 10,000 structures have burnt down to the ground in Los Angeles. That's houses, schools, businesses, 10,000 structures. Now, before the insurance companies pay a dime, They have to send adjusters out to every single structure to inspect the structure and write up a report. Trust me, I've been through this. And then send it back to the insurance company. And then the insurance company will decide what it's going to pay out, when it's going to pay out. And you better hope they never find an arsonist responsible for these fires, because that'll give the insurance companies a perfect out. Oh, it's not an act of God. Oh, we don't cover that. So once the reports get back to the insurance companies, then they got to decide who gets what and when. When's that going to happen? How long is that going to take? Then all the 10,000 structures, they have to remove all the debris. They don't have the crews to remove the debris in a timely fashion. How long is that going to take? And suppose you own a house that's worth, I don't know, you bought it for $600,000 and now it's worth $2 million, and that's what it's going to cost to rebuild it. And the insurance company decides, okay, we're going to cover the cost of the rebuild. And when is that going to happen? You know, there's only so many construction crews, and they're going to be working at a premium, and they're going to be working on their schedules.
You're right.
It's a horrific situation. You're looking at years to recover from this.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service, and having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact. I want to also be clear that I have, over the last 3 years, been clear that the fire department needs help. We can no longer sustain where we are. We do not have enough firefighters.
This is crazy.
With that, I have also requested multiple budgets, interim budgets, to show how understaffed, under-resourced, and underfunded the LAFD is. So with that, also, we have clear data that shows the LAFD needs more help. We need 62 more fire stations. These reports also show that we've had a 55% increase in overall call volume since 2010. And guess what? We're doing it with less firefighters.
Wow.
I was also directed to develop a plan as part of a budget reduction exercise, and that could equate to $48.8 million. And I rang the bell that these additional cuts could be very, very devastating for our ability to provide public safety. That would have resulted to 15 fire stations closing down and potentially the elimination of over 300 firefighters. Again, I want to be clear that I submitted a very large budget that will actually allow our firefighters to do their job.
This is really crazy.
Some of Hollywood's biggest celebrities' homes have been burned to the ground in the apocalyptic Los Angeles wildfires. Anthony Hopkins' home is gone, as the devastating photos show the house before and after the recent wildfires. John Goodman's house has been completely destroyed, and all that now remains is his backyard pool.
Wow.
Miles Teller's $7.5 million dream home is another building which is now entirely wiped out. Paris Hilton says she watched her home burn to the ground on live TV, while Matthew Perry's home has been engulfed and Harrison Ford was forced to evacuate. The list continues to grow, as Eugene Levy, Billy Crystal, and Adam Brody are also among those whose homes are destroyed, while dozens of other stars now face an anxious wait alongside their neighbors to learn if anything could be saved and to pick up the pieces of their multi-million-dollar homes.
Y'all know it's a conspiracy theory going on around these fires.
This is your midday Saturday fire update on all of the relevant fires, including this new one right over here. First, the Palisades fire updated 5 minutes ago. Biggest thing here is it seems like they're sending quite a few more resources over there. We see that here with 3 additional Type 1 tankers have been requested, as well as up here, helicopters and fixed wings have swapped from divisions. I don't know all the details of that because there's lots of canyons and things here. Obviously, keep your eye on the Palisades. The Eaton Fire, I just finished the press conference for this one. Their biggest thing is making sure that they eliminate any red tape from the government that would allow people to get the help they need in a timely way. So fingers crossed that that comes through. Also, if you're keeping score at home, that sounded worse than I meant it. If you are keeping track at home, 14,000 acres here, 15% contained. Versus the Palisades fire we're just talking about at 22.6 and 11% containment. Now, the newest fire, the Briar Fire, which despite being enjoyable to say, is something I've got my eye on that could be worrisome. I actually just finished a more thorough video on this. It's the video right before, so if you want all the details, check it out. But here's some of the questions that people are asking. This Briar Fire, is it close to Anaheim? Is it close to Orange County? No. Anaheim's right here, Orange County's over here. As you can see, it's fine for them, but not ideal for Riverside, Rancho Cucamonga, Fontana, Moreno Valley, and everyone on the east side. Let's take a look at it on the map. It is far and away the most eastern fire that we have had so far. Hopefully that gets contained very, very soon. Hey, we've got more updates coming for you today here and on Instagram, the same handle, just in case TikTok goes away, at It's Hardly Working. Stay strong, be nice, help each other out in the comments. We'll see you throughout the day, and of course, for a final update tonight.
On today's episode of That's Grits, we got Los Angeles wildfires. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I want to know where the hell are wildfires coming from? Just look at some of these images. These look like straight out of a movie, but these are real. You're telling me we can send billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight a war, but we don't have the resources to stop a wildfire before it burns down an entire part of a city? And we've been dealing with wildfires for a long time, especially in the state of California and places like Canada and all that stuff. PS5 is about to release technology that can make you smell what's in the game, but we haven't invented something to stop wildfires. There's no way. I know I'm ignorant. I'm being ignorant to something. I know, you know, the winds, it's hard to control all that extra shit, but there's no way we haven't invented something that can stop a wildfire before it gets this bad. You can't convince me. This has to be some shit where they're trying to burn down a whole city and claim the land, like reclaim land, bro. You can't convince me, bro. We have too much technology for us not to be able to stop a wildfire from getting like this. Bro, we have the capabilities of building atomic weapons that can take down an entire country with a press of a button, but we can't stop wildfires. Yeah, that's cap. That's grits. You can't convince. Prayers up to everybody in LA and everybody that's been affected by this. This is wild.
Absolutely. Prayers out, bro.
Having escaped the fires in LA, many people are now realizing they're never going to be able to return home. Why? Because they didn't have insurance and they can't afford to rebuild. And it's a frightening number of people.
Crazy.
Over the last few months, over the last few years, insurance companies have been cancelling the cover for hundreds of thousands of people in LA because of the risk of fire.
Crazy.
Some people just couldn't find new insurance. Others who did get insurance are paying a lot more, but now realizing they weren't covered for this type of event. It gets even worse when you consider, because of these fires, insurance is going to be even harder to get. So whilst the celebrities, the super rich, will be able to afford to rebuild, many people won't. They'll be forced out of the area completely to areas where they can actually afford the insurance, they can actually afford to live. LA just became even more exclusive.
Damn.
The Hollywood sign is on fire right now. Kid you not. How? People file insurance claims. That might not be it. Don't quote me. I'm just saying it's just a little weird that it's happening in so many different rich areas. I know it's people that's not rich that also got affected, but the areas that it's happening in, it should not be happening in. Like Pacific Palisades is right next to the ocean. I don't know if that matters or not, y'all. I'm not a geographerist, whatever you want to call it. So don't quote me and try to take my words and twist them. But if you make an M in LA, you're supposed to give them $400,000. Being a millionaire in LA is so regular. You telling me all this tax y'all take, y'all can't get some helicopters and put the fire out and put it all up? Like, that's all I'm saying, bro. West Hollywood is out of control. This is the city. And it's very, very sad. People losing their houses, bro. Like, it's some people that can't afford. Like, I'm blessed enough to be, God forbid that my house burnt down, right? I live in a very fire hazardous place. I'm blessed to not be a part of this at this very moment, knock on wood. Pray to God that I'm not. A fire in the Hollywood Hills, you never know, it can be a fire over here, you know, so.
I think he did get affected too.
Many celebrities have reacted to the wildfires currently going on in Los Angeles. First up, The Rock said, "This is terrifying." Next, Billie Eilish said, "What's going on in Los Angeles right now is so scary and devastating. I've provided a link to the fire department where it should provide important updates to help keep yourselves and your pets safe." Next, Katy Perry said, "Praying for everybody." And finally, Tom Cruise said, "Keeping everybody in my thoughts, and I'm wishing everybody is safe and sound." Los Angeles is currently battling multiple devastating wildfires that have forced tens of thousands of residents to evacuate their homes. The fires, fueled by strong Santa Ana winds, have spread rapidly, consuming thousands of acres and threatening numerous structures. Several major fires are currently burning across Los Angeles County, with the most significant being the Palisades Fire, the Eaton Fire, and the Hearst Fire. The Palisades Fire, burning in the hills of Pacific Palisades, has consumed over 3,000 acres and forced the evacuation of over 30,000 people. The Eaton Fire, burning in the hills above Altadena, has spread across more than 1,000 acres, threatening homes in Altadena, Pasadena, Arcadia, and Sierra Madre. The Hearst Fire, located in Sylmar, has burned over 500 acres. Firefighters are working tirelessly to contain the blazes, but their efforts are hampered by strong winds that are fanning the flames and making it difficult to establish containment lines. The Santa Ana winds, known for their strong gusts and dry conditions, are expected to persist through Thursday, raising concerns about further fire spread. The fires have also caused widespread power outages, with over 300,000 customers losing electricity. Power companies have been forced to cut power to prevent further damage to electrical infrastructure and to reduce the risk of new fires igniting. The situation is being closely monitored by local and state officials, who are urging residents to heed evacuation orders and stay informed about the latest developments. Evacuation centers have been set up to provide shelter for those who have been displaced from their homes. The fires have had a significant impact on daily life in Los Angeles, with road closures, school closures, and the cancellation of public events. The smoke from the fires has also created hazardous air quality conditions across the region. For this video's comment question, has this upset you? Before you go, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for daily news updates on your favorite celebs. Thanks a lot for watching.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
Wow.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there
resources.
no water in the hydrants,
That's
Governor?
all being. That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see the. Do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right now.
Thank you.
Whoa, she ran up on him.
Tonight, there's a new threat from those devastating and deadly wildfires. About 9 million people across much of Los Angeles and Ventura counties under a new red flag warning and on alert for more dangerous fire weather conditions. The emergency is not over. This fire NATO captured on camera in the Pacific Palisades. Evacuations expanding tonight. Thousands of homes and businesses destroyed, at least 11 people killed. Governor Gavin Newsom doubling the number of National Guard to more than than 1,600 to help battle the flames. The ground and air assault continue as the fires are now threatening a growing list of neighborhoods, including the exclusive Los Angeles suburb of Brentwood. And the finger-pointing and controversy tonight over what, if anything, could have been done to prevent the wildfires from causing so much death and destruction. We have team coverage tonight in the fire zone. ABC's Matt Rivers leads us off from Brentwood.
Tonight, with fires still raging in Los Angeles, evacuations are expanding. The Brentwood and Encino neighborhoods under threat as residents make their way out of the area.
This is wild.
How and where are the LA wildfires spreading? They've engulfed more than 5,000 acres so far, and they're growing rapidly. This footage shows fires raging in the affluent neighborhood of Palisades, which is full of luxury properties. The area in eastern LA has been hardest hit. The fires here have spread at astonishing speeds. At around 2 p.m. local time on Tuesday, some 700 acres were covered by fires. This is what it looked like around 3 p.m. that day, with about 1,200 acres covered. Then, by 6 p.m., the impacted area had doubled. Wildfires have also spread to other neighborhoods, including the Hearst, Eaton, and Woodley areas of LA. Experts say the combination of dry conditions and strong winds are causing the rapid spread. And there are warnings that the worst is not yet over, with weather forecasts showing that the winds are set to continue.
Man, pray for California.
What's going on right now is it's actually insane, because it's like, bro, like, you never know when anything's gonna happen. Like, bro, I'm literally on my phone and I see all the fires going on, and I put in a prayer for everybody in LA. But it's like, man, like, that shit is like, people are dead ass losing their house. Like, child, imagine like having a house that you grew up in, that you put your all into, right? And then wake up one day, that shit is gone. And they got pets, they got family. You feel me? And it's crazy. Losing everything, bro.
Well, here's something you don't necessarily think about, but of course, gun ownership in America is very common, and people who are keeping weapons and ammunition at home, in the fire, those bullets and ammunition, well, they start exploding, and we're seeing exploded bullets strewn all over the streets here. I'm no expert for what kind of gun this came from, but like you can see, there's lots of them. Some of them completely exploded, some of them still intact. And when fires were burning, we were hearing bangs, pops, explosions, and some of those may well have been bullets. They're everywhere. Perhaps no surprise if you're an American, but a little more eye-popping for somebody like me who's from the UK.
I didn't even think about that.
Nearly 1,000 prisoners have now joined the front lines to battle the LA wildfires. But were they forced to do this? No. All prisoners have to volunteer to be a part of the Conservation Fire Camp program, and only those who are physically able and have a sentence of 8 years or less are considered. Certain convictions, such as sex offences, disqualify you from participation. The imprisoned firefighters stay at minimum security facilities where they serve their time and receive training. And in the field, they can be spotted in prison orange jumpsuits. While citizen firefighters can earn more than $100,000 a year, the prisoners only make between $5.80 and $10.24 a day. But some of the perks include better food than regular prisons, earning time credits to reduce sentences, and the opportunity to get a job at CAL FIRE after release.
Man, salute to the inmates that's helping, man.
I talked to a fireman once. This is one of the reasons that freaked me out. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and fire's going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean, and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it. I go, really? He goes, yeah, we just get lucky. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA, and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it. Because these fires are so big, dude. When they're talking about like thousands of acres that are burning simultaneously with like 40-mile-an-hour winds. And the wind's just blowing embers through the air, and those embers are landing on roofs, and those houses are going up, and they're landing on bushes, and those bushes are going up, and everything's dry. And once it happens in a way where it's so spread out that there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do.
You just have to evacuate, right?
Nothing. Nothing they can do.
This is wild, man.
This is, for all intents and purposes, a fire cane. Okay, we're talking about hurricane force winds with a firestorm attached to it. Now, here's what we are looking at. This is what's causing all these problems, these destructive winds with 100-mile-per-hour gusts. We're talking about the humidity, single digits, and that leads to explosive fire growth. We've got a pressure gradient, high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, and those winds are being squeezed between the two pressure systems. And what that's doing is bringing those Santa Ana winds, powerful winds coming in here. Add to that the low humidity and the fact that since October 1st, less than 10% of average rainfall has fallen in Southern California. And again, those winds, the big problem. Wind gust 69 in Simi Valley,
Crazy.
Los Angeles 63, Mission Viejo 52-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that's going to be the problem over the next 12 to 18 hours. Those wind gusts are going to be such that it's going to be hard for those firefighters to put up aircraft to be able to take a look at what's going on and to drop water on them, Lester.
That wind is crazy.
People's homes are on fire and they're having to put it out with garden hoses because the politicians can't. The mayor, Karen Bass, knew the Santa Ana winds were blowing, and the National Weather Service was warning her there was a chance of extreme fire. And she still hops on a plane to Africa to go to an inauguration of a president she's never met. It's a 17-hour flight, so she knew if something happened, it would take her like a day to get back. The press is starting to speak up for the people. Listen.
For several hours, we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. You were out of the country at the time. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish.
That didn't happen.
We will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual.
Bass doesn't respect you. She's not going to answer your questions.
Wow.
She's just going to wait 6 months and release some whitewashed report pointing fingers at everybody else, even though she's in charge. Bass didn't even have an evacuation plan. They were warned about this a week ahead. Actress Sarah Michelle Gellar wrote, City of LA, you want everyone to evacuate, yet you have complete gridlock and not one traffic cop on the roads helping.
Wow.
People got trapped because all these politicians, just they know how to run for office. And once they get in, they don't know how to run anything. The mayor of LA couldn't even give out a simple website address.
Make no mistake, Los Angeles will rebuild stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL.
What?
URL? The mayor can't even tell people where to get help during an emergency.
What?
Who was in charge when Bass was in Africa? This is the deputy mayor, Brian Williams. But he's been placed on leave because he's under investigation for calling in a bomb threat to City Hall, where he works. It's like he was trying to get out of taking a test. So who was in charge during the early hours of the worst fire in LA history?
What? No way.
Millions and millions of people all over the United States are about to pay the price for what has taken place in Los Angeles. What we now know is that because the Los Angeles fire is so massive, could easily top $30 to $50 billion in damages. Now insurance companies are on the hook. And the reason for this is simple. What has happened over the previous few weeks and many months is that many insurance companies pulled out of their contracts with California homeowners. This includes, millionaires, billionaires, and even the poorer people. And what we are now facing is a crisis. According to experts, they are saying that millions and millions of people all over the state of California are about to pay the price for the damages simply because the California FAIR Plan, this is the kind of the last resort insurance policy for people for homeowners in California, well, this only has about $385 million in the reserves.
Whoa.
Problem is damages could easily top $30 to $50 billion.
Whoa.
But according to California law, what happens when they don't have enough money? They don't go after the taxpayers and tax them more. No, instead, they put it on to the insurance companies. So now those insurance companies are already saying they're going to have to pretty much increase prices, increase their premiums in order to pay for all these damages. But guess what? California has a cap on how much insurance premiums can actually be increased.
Okay.
So according to many sources, the increases will go across the board to every other state in order to make up for the mismanagement that we've seen in California. So get ready. Your homeowner's insurance is going to increase, which means your renter's insurance will likely increase, and also your just rent will increase because now your landlord has to pay more. So guess what? More money is coming out of your pocket.
Whoa. All right, that was another TikTok compilation. That was about the fires out there in California, man. Like I said, I'm sending my love, sending my prayers out to the people out in California. I know people that was affected out there, but some of these TikToks is crazy. Some of the information that they talking about that people wasn't prepared for, and that people is taking trips and not, like, the water is not being filled up. The firefighters not knowing that they don't, like, what? The insurance companies just pulling yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. If you made it this far, you a real one, for real. To all my people out in Cali, man, I'm sending my prayers to you, man, my love to you. This is wild. But till next time, self-love and positivity, Fire Squad. I got you and you know it. Whew.